Hello?
Hey Sean, it's Mandy. How you doing?
I'm still breathing. How are you?
I'm okay. I was calling to. I know you can help me with this one. Um, my cousin's dad or cousin's husband died. Left four boys last night, and the oldest child that found him um, has Asperger's. Is there a way to help him? You know what I mean? Kind of process it more, and rather than just say get over it. Do you have any suggestions?
Um, well, that's complicated. Does he speak?
Yes, no, he's completely fine. He's just more introverted. He's more quiet. He stays to himself. He's gotten into school where he's going to school. He's a senior this year, but he's kind of more just to himself.
What's he interested in?
Um, Video games. What's funny is I was looking at his profile and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the first person that I thought to because some of the quotes, some of the posts remind me of you, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly who to call.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's a tough one. A lot of times that can be a sensitive situation to walk into. Because we think differently than others, and most people think that we should think like they do. That tends to
Right.
be a human trait. Um, there's
And that's exactly why I thought of you, because you understand it and you can educate me on it more so.
well, he's I'm assuming he's probably into first person shooter games.
What was that again?
I said I'm assuming he's into first person shooter games.
Probably.
Alright. For me, I'm not so much into those, but I got a lot of friends that got Asperger's, and most of them are more into first person shooter games or chess. So,
I know he likes to do a lot of online stuff and stuff like that. I know he was into cars with his dad, stuff like that.
alright. Well, those are some of his special interests. That'd probably be the best way to pick up his ear. Mostly,
Right.
though, it's your ear that's piqued in curiosity at this point. So, as far as being around him, if you're around him and you're not ignoring him, um,
Right.
but you're in the vicinity and you're interacting in his vicinity, then just try to watch for motions or him facing you with his body or moving his hands towards you because he might want to say something,
Right.
and be afraid to, or not know if it's appropriate for him to speak yet or not. A lot of us have that confusion. Um,
Okay.
but if you listen to him, the less you speak, the more likely it is that he'll open up.
Right.
The more you speak, the more likely it is that he'll close down. A lot of people don't get that with me because they wanna correct an assumption that they've got in their head, so they end up talking over me. And I've still got
Right.
something important to say. Also, for him emotionally, people might not be as accepting of him having the same emotions as others, so it might be complicated for him to even express that he has any in some cases. I
Right.
don't know if his situation is like that at all. Um, but probably the best way to
And
do it is to find out what his interests are and
okay.
look that up and give it a try. I mean, really, you're more likely to get something out of him interactive wise. But he also losing his dad and finding him dead, he might not feel like doing anything with video games or talking about cars.
Exactly. And I know his mom said that last night was a rough night, but I mean, there's four boys, but I mean, that was his best friend. And that's where it was tough. And I mean, he's going to go and he's going to live with my aunt because she's got, she's almost got more knowledge of it. And she tries to keep him busy and structured as far as just even like, let's do karate, let's do track, let's do basketball, let's do something to keep you busy and kind of keep your mind off of things. And he was thriving. He was doing really good.
It's tough to deal with.
Yeah. Because I know at one point in his life, when he was younger, he used to like to wear a suit and carry a briefcase to school. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He was mighty cute, but you just gotta accept them and love them for who they are. Just because you don't fit into that box of normal, which none of us are normal. We're all screwed up one way or the other.
Normal is a box of preconceived notions. Everything else
Yep.
is the truth.
Yeah. Yep.
So, really,
Yeah.
what normal is weird. Just the concept
Pretty
of
much.
normal is
Yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah.
completely abstract.
Right.
It's like having an invisible border.
Right. Little buddy. High five. Oh,
That
no high five. High five. Oh, high five. I'm trying to give you a high five.
that's a tough situation. As far as when I found Danny dead, that really bothered me a lot. Mostly because the police could have done something, not because I found my friend dead. It was because of how the police interacted, how they already knew he was back there and unresponsive, and they didn't show up for 4 hours. They didn't show up until the manager of the pedestrian shop called him.
Wow.
So when you get to see somebody dead, I mean, at least you have that closure. I never got that with Natalie.
Right.
Matter of fact, I
What
got
I
her
had heard
family.
from Alyssa was something that nobody wanted to see. I've heard from a couple of the officers that she worked with that it was not good. That it was pretty bad. And, I mean, that's the last thing that you want ingrained in your mind, you know.
Yeah.
Where at
Well,
least you can see her pretty face. At least you have those pretty memories of her. Not
ma'am,
something that's just brutal like
with
she was taken.
with every piece of information that I got, I ran scenarios through my mind for that whole first month. I mean, I thought of if her dad had done it, if Tim had done it, if Maddie did it, if her own sister had done it. I mean, I ran all these through my head, and I ran that scenario through. I saw her die a lot. I saw her get shot a lot, and that scenario ran through my head and ran through my head with the information that I had. It was important to find out who it was that killed her.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've seen her die a lot. I've also seen people who were shot, and I've seen animals that were shot in the head. I've seen a lot. I know what kind of gruesome.
Holy moly! Are you gonna be around for a little bit today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was gonna call you back when my husband got home so he can take care of little man who just got here. And now he's just like, no, and talking to where I'm having a hard time hearing you. But I appreciate your help and suggestions and thoughts and just being there, being awesome, being you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll probably think on it a little bit too, so next time we talk, I might have more to add. I don't know him in specific, so it might be difficult, but it sounds like he's into pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, like I said, he's very smart. He but he's functioning. Can you please just chill? He's very smart. He goes to school. He I mean, like I said, he's very very intelligent. He's like you are, to where it's like he remembers everything. Can't get anything past him. He remembers it all.
Yeah, it's too bad I'm not a police officer.
Yeah.
I
I
would
don't
have
know
made
if
an
I'd want
excellent
any of you to
cop.
do that, but with that said, it probably would be good because you can remember faces, you can remember every single damn detail that most of these officers seem to forget once you tell them.
Yeah, that's why they need cameras, because their memory isn't squat. And
Exactly.
then they forget the parts when they assume that you're guilty or really, really want to get you. Then they forget everything that you said that's evidence, and they try to stick to paraphrasing the parts that make you seem guilty because it's the only part they heard because it was the only part they were listening for.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yep. But as soon as my husband gets home from his job interview, it didn't go so well. I will give you a call back so he can take care of him so I can talk with you.
Yes, ma'am. You be safe.